This is Art Television.
Coming up, State of Business, sponsored by
Welcome to State of Business on Art Television, and I'm Hishain Ali. Let's take a look at the headlines first. Asian Development Bank announced its first loan in Sri Lanka's railway sector. Sri Lanka emerged again as the world's best island to travel in 2019. News in detail. The Asian Development Bank's first loan in Sri Lanka's railway sector was announced yesterday, and the ADB has approved a $160 million loan to modernize the operations and improve the efficiency of Sri Lanka Railways by upgrading its infrastructure and technical capacity.
ADB transport specialist Johan Georgette stated a feasible railway transportation will be immensely helpful, particularly in suburban Colombo, where the impacts of traffic congestion are strongly felt by all road commuters. He also added that there is a grave need to improve public transportation in Sri Lanka in order to meet the demands of the rising population expected to reach 25 million by 2050. The statement of ADB mentions that Sri Lanka Railways moves 136.7 million passengers and 2 million tons of goods annually, while the country's railway infrastructure is overdue for noteworthy upgrades and modernization. The outdated network, signaling and telecommunication systems, the paper tickets being manually printed for all ticket classes are some of the grave areas that should be addressed in the sector. Thus, the Railway Efficiency Improvement Project will provide a modern multi-channel paper, mobile and smart card ticketing system and will also install a state-of-the-art telecommunication system which will replace the original system installed in 1985 and allow for two-way communications with train drivers and reduce train delays. The total cost of the project is $192 million, with the government of Sri Lanka providing $32 million, and the project completion is planned at the end of 2024.
A survey carried out by the travel and leisure website announces that Sri Lanka has emerged as the world's best island to travel in 2019. According to the travel magazine based in New York City, Sri Lanka scored 92.12 points at the very first time it was introduced into the chart and became the first in the list.
As per the website's announcement, on the 17th of July, Sri Lanka ranks the first out of the 15 best islands in the world. While Sri Lanka ranks the top, Palawan Island in Philippines wins the second place and Bali in Indonesia bags the third place. The website also states that the island tempts travelers with a diversity of experiences, marine national parks, tea plantations, wildlife parks, and luxurious lodgings. Significantly, one travel and leisure reader has also written, "No wonder it is called the Pearl of the Indian Ocean." Thus, the experts of the tourist industry of Sri Lanka say such global admiration would help to restore the tourist industry, which was affected by the Easter Sunday attacks.
U.S. Ambassador of Sri Lanka and the Maldives, Elena B. Teplitz, highlights that driving towards economic diplomacy is vital to strengthen the United States and Sri Lanka trade ties and to gain win-win benefits on both the parties. U.S. Ambassador of Sri Lanka and the Maldives made these claims addressing the 27th Annual General Meeting of American Chamber of Commerce in Sri Lanka held yesterday.
My team is constantly looking for new opportunities and new ways to connect American businesses with Sri Lankan partners and to support an open, fair, and reciprocal economic environment that welcomes foreign investment. Economic diplomacy, in fact, is what we call that. It's one of the foundation stones of our engagement overseas. And of course, promoting bilateral trade is a good thing all by itself. I'm sure nobody would disagree with that, but economic diplomacy is about more than increasing trade statistics. It means opening new and untapped markets. It means identifying opportunities for small and medium enterprise. It means promoting opportunities for women entrepreneurs. And it means addressing key impediments to trade and trade and investment, whether that's regulations, fees, non-tariff barriers, or even cultural misunderstanding, so that there's more opportunity for all. For me, in particular, this means leveraging the whole U.S. Embassy team in Colombo to promote an economic diplomacy aimed at achieving a win-win environment.
Addressing the 27th Annual General Meeting of American Chamber of Commerce in Sri Lanka, the newly appointed President of the American Chamber of Commerce in Sri Lanka, Prasanta Jayamaha, delivered a wide array of measures to improve the ties between the United States of America and Sri Lanka.
As the incoming board this year, you will see us actively pursuing some new messaging on how our member companies affect the economy and society in Sri Lanka. We also hope to embark on some new activities in leadership development and thought leadership. This is in addition to the work carried on being done in a range of matters, from promoting diversity in the workplace, to women in leadership, to IPR, change management, roundtable discussions with government officials, trade discussions, handling corporate partner and membership issues, and embassy-related activities. We also intend to host the US Sri Lanka Trade Show in early 2020 after a lapse of many years. So as you can see, it's going to be a busy year for this board. We've had a challenging few months as a nation. In this time of rebuilding and strengthening ourselves, I call upon you as members to continue to engage and strengthen in this chamber so that we can help improve trade and relationship between these two great nations.
Sri Lanka signed an agreement with the Belgiospace Limited, which is a provider of gravity gradiometric data to the oil and gas market, fast-tracking exploration work and seismic surveys in order to explore for offshore oil and gas deposits in Mannar Basin. Thus, the agreement was signed under the patronage of the Minister of Highways and Road Development, Kabir Hashim, at the ministry yesterday.
Accordingly, Belgiospace General Manager John McFarlane and Minister Kabir Hashim attended the signing event at the ministry. The agreement was signed for a project to carry out airborne gravity gradiometry and magnetic surveys over the sea coast of Sri Lanka to explore the mineral gas fields said to be situated around the Cauvery Basin of the Northern Peninsula and the Mannar Basin of the west coast. Belgiospace uses a technique which exploits magnetic anomalies in the Earth's magnetic field to search for petroleum and mineral deposits below the surface. Exploration of using gravity and magnetic techniques enable faster detection of deposits and give more precise locations for drilling. Sri Lanka's Petroleum Resources Development Secretariat has identified several blocks for offshore oil exploration, and the government has called for international competitive bids for exploration and production of oil and natural gas in M1 and C1 blocks. The Cabinet in February approved awarding the contract to carry out the survey to Belgiospace Limited in accordance with the recommendation of the Cabinet, also appointed a negotiation committee.
Stay tuned for more news after this commercial break.
Now we double the prize money. Get the bonus number with any other 3 numbers and win 100,000 rupees. Supiri Vasana. Pursue your dream.
සෝත්සාහෙන් රට ගොඩනගන මේ මිනිසාසේම කුණු කසල අර්බුදයට පිළියම් සොයා රට ගොඩනගන මේ මිනිසුන්ද සාමාන්‍ය මිනිසුන් නොව යකඩ මිනිසුන්ය. පන්නරය ඉන්න හිතෙන රටකට.
And welcome back after the break. The Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka extends the suspension of business and activities of the primarily dealer unit of Pan Asia Banking Corporation. Central Bank announces that the suspension action was taken in order to continue the investigations being conducted by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka announced that it extended the suspension of business and activities of the primary dealer unit of Pan Asia Banking Corporation PLC for a period of 6 months with effect from yesterday. The bank also says it follows the terms of the regulations made under the Registered Stock and Securities Ordinance and the Local Treasury Bills Ordinance. The Central Bank also emphasizes that this regulatory action suspends only the bank's access to the primary auctions for government securities, and it does not affect any of the other activities or the services by the bank. Pan Asia Bank's primary dealership has been suspended since August 2017 for its transactions with Perpetual Treasuries Limited during a so-called bond scam.
Meanwhile, Central Bank also announces that manufacturing activities expanded further at a higher rate in July 2019, recording an index value of 55.7, which is an increase of 1.8 index points compared to June 2019.
The expansion in Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index is mainly attributable to the significant increase in new orders and subsequent increase in production, especially in manufacturing of food and beverages sector. The central bank data shows that the increase in new orders was mainly due to the gradual recovery of the economy from disruptions related to Easter Sunday attacks. Meanwhile, employment increased at a slower rate during the month of July, although many respondents in the textile and apparel industry highlighted that they experienced higher rate of labor turnover during the month. Services sector also continued to expand in July 2019, underpinned by accelerated expansion in new businesses, business activity and expectations for activity compared to June 2019. This indicates a further recovery of the services sector after the Easter Sunday attack. Business activities of wholesale and retail trade, accommodation, food and beverage, financial services and transportation subsectors expanded for the second consecutive month in July 2019. Service providers' optimism on the next 3 months' business outlook strengthened to a 29-month high as expectations for activity expanded across most of the subsectors. However, employment recorded a deterioration compared to previous month as there is a time lag of filling vacant positions and replacement of labor-intensive work by technology.
A discussion on solar power, net metering and net plus rates for solar was held between Minister of Power, Energy and Business Development Ravi Karunanayake and Swiss Ambassador to Sri Lanka Hans-Peter Mock was held recently.
Both the Power and Energy Minister and Swiss Ambassador held talks on leveraging in solar power energy in order to face the energy crisis of the future. The Power and Renewable Energy Ministry increased the rates paid under its solar power net metering program following extensive lobbying by stakeholders in the industry. Following a series of meetings chaired by Minister Karunanayake with the participation of all stakeholders, the ministry took steps to increase the net plus rates for solar energy producers. Thus, the Swiss ambassador was briefed about these programs and minister reiterated his ministry attempts to promote solar power generation among end users.
Now a review on the stock performances for the past week and a stock forecast for the coming week will be brought to you by a subject expert at First Capital Holdings.
Results of companies poured in this week with the deadline for quarterly results falling on the 15th of August. There was a heavy decline that was observed in all sectors across the board in terms of earnings with the heavy decline in profitability of most companies. This continued to impact the market as the BOSE was on a downward trend this week with investors mostly on the selling side. However, some positivity emerged on Friday with bargain hunters entering the market as the price levels were 10 to 15% lower. Hefty turnover levels were reported both on Tuesday and Thursday with significant retail and high net worth participation. Foreign activity was very high during the week, but broadly on the selling side, primarily concentrated on John Keells Holdings. For the next week, we expect the slowness in the equity market to continue for a further short period as investors take profit and also contributed by the foreign selling that has triggered in the market. However, selected mid-cap shares and banking counters are likely to attract investor interest as earnings are expected to improve towards the December quarter. Turnover levels are likely to be moderate with continuous activity in the market, especially driven by the low interest rate environment that is currently prevailing.
Stay tuned for stock updates after this break.
Enjoy twice the action, twice the romance, and twice the laughter. Now with twice the data. Experience high-speed internet for the best rates in the market with Bell 4G.
Welcome back after the break. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a mixed note today. The all-share price index dropped 22.64 points to close at 5,894.51, and the S&P SL20 gained 1.22 points to close at 2,905.81. The turnover was 334 million rupees and over 31 million shares were traded. Up next are forex rates. That's all news for today. Do join us tomorrow on Biz Roundup. Until then, take care. Good night.
State of Business was sponsored by